Good afternoon. My name is Doug Gilstrap. I'm head of strategy for Ericsson, and I want to welcome you all to Shanghai and to our Business Innovation Forum. We're going to have a great 2 days, and I look forward to meeting as many of you all as possible. And we have great speakers, and let's kick off the program. So who is this well-dressed man? Captain Oberg. He's a Swedish Marine back in the 1880s. He was based here in Shanghai. He was in prison. He was charged with selling arms to the pirates, and the French imprisoned him, and eventually he escaped. Why do I tell you this story? Is because Captain Oberg here landed the first contract for Ericsson in 1892. Fortunately for him, he was acquitted, his name was cleared, and the background is he became a businessman and decided to stay here in Shanghai. He decided to create telecommunications, understand the business, import Ericsson goods, and again, it was our first major contract here in Shanghai, 1892. This is our second year to host the event. We decided to gather in Shanghai at the Swedish Pavilion, the World Expo 2010. The main theme here is Better City and Better Life. Our theme, the Swedish Pavilion theme, is Spirit of Innovation. Hopefully you've had time to go downstairs and look at the different innovative ideas and understand what we're trying to do downstairs in terms of a better life, better places, and what we can do in telecommunications. Today is also the World Telecommunications Day. This was established in 1969 by the United Nations. It's been a long time since 1969, but they established it to better understand how telecommunications can impact today's society, productivity, and how people work and live their daily lives. We have 30 different countries here. I can imagine all of you can certainly understand what's telecommunications, how it's impacted your daily lives, particularly in just the last 5 to 10 years, much less the 40 plus years since this day has been celebrated by the United Nations. Shanghai was a place where we made our first big step in China. It was 118 years ago, and today China is one of the largest markets for Ericsson. So now let me introduce Ericsson. As you can tell from Captain Oberg's episode, Ericsson has a long history in telecoms. Lars Magnus Ericsson started the company in Stockholm in 1876. He started the company on telephone repair. He focused on quality, he focused on technology leadership, and by the late 1800s, Stockholm was one of the most dense cities in terms of telephones and telegraphics. Today, Stockholm is still one of the most advanced telecommunications cities in the world. Lars envisioned a great potential for phones, but he also had one vision. Communication is a basic need for society. Today, Ericsson has tremendous global presence, operating in 175 countries, providing telecommunications equipment, related services, software, and a variety of different support aspects to a long-standing number of clients that we have relationships that have been built over 100 of years. Our significant scale advantage, our ability to offer end-to-end solutions, and our local presence in every major market enables us to be a true partner to our customers. That is the case here as China as well. Technology leadership is important to us for keeping our position in the industry. Innovation is an important element for our company culture, and it is key to our competitive and future success. If you take this one point, we have invested heavily in research and development. On Wednesday, hopefully you will be able to take a trip and see our R&D center in Shanghai. I know Johan and Max will talk further about that during their presentations. But on that R&D point, we have ongoing commitments to technology leadership. We have over 25,000 patents. With this portfolio, we are the leader in mobile telecommunications. We have been playing a key role, if not the driving role, in mobile standards, 2G, 3G, and we are leading in LTE, the next generation, also called 4G. And if you want to see what the greater capacity of LTE does, we're streaming video live on the big screen at the entrance of the Swedish pavilion via our TD LTE network. So please take the opportunity to view that in the next day or so. So why are we gathered here in Shanghai during this World Expo? Being the leader is a tough task. We always need to stay on top. We need to understand the regional dynamics, the macro dynamics, and the end user push. What is being driven and what do we need to respond to help our customers with the right solutions. Let's zoom in on the key numbers, some dynamic numbers within this region. On the population side, this continent accounts for 60% of the world's population. Enormous figure. China is 1.3 billion of that population. Now, in terms of economic development, income, what's happened in the last 10 years, it's staggering. What we've seen here is the economic development is pushing the middle class up, with higher up the purchasing ladder, with more impact. Just taking a few items. Looking back at the GDP, it was $800 per GDP. Now, in 10 years, it's $4,000. The impact of that is, take a car. There were 16 million cars 10 years ago. Now there are 76 million. Take it even further. The consumer and luxury goods market in the world, China's ranked #2. So we have a lot of economic development, a lot of purchasing power, and certainly every opportunity in terms of growth going forward. The region is dynamic and tremendous in terms of why leading companies are coming here. They recognize that. We've recognized that since the late 1890s. We continue to invest here in China, and we see the opportunity. But let's look at our specific industry and give some examples. Mobile networks now cover 99% of the entire population in China. They have just experienced the largest ever rollout of 3G. China now has 770 million mobile subscriptions, adding 9 million every month. The numbers are incredible. Then if you look at from the internet perspective, there are 380 million internet users. Now of the 380 million internet users, which again is quite a good size in terms of comparison to the United States, the whole population, but if you just look at those 380 million internet users, 233 million of those are accessing the internet through their phones. And that's only going to increase. Remember, right now there's 770 million mobile phone subscriptions. So mobile broadband will have a big impact on that. Let's look into other consumer trends. The world's population is to grow to 8 billion by 2020. 60% of those will be living in big cities. Think about the impact on those cities. How are we going to challenge it? How are we going to handle the way we live, supply, the food, commute, the waste? All this will be challenging. We do believe mobile broadband will help in terms of those challenges. There will be need for more mobile solutions as the world enters into this next paradigm, the next 15 to 20 years. The new middle-class consumers will tell us about tomorrow's needs for new applications, and services will be driven by new business models. There are many applications that we don't know yet, but that will drive data demands and drive how we work, how we live, and how we commute in that city, both from a productivity perspective at work, as well as an entertainment perspective at the home, working and hanging out with your family. We looked at a variety of different studies, and we try to put it in the best context of the different studies that we've looked at in the past 200 years. One study from Carletta Perez from Cambridge, she looked at all various industrial and technical business cycles and business revolutions, and each one had one common theme. You had a deployment phase and an installation phase. The installation phase was laying the railroad, building the factories, putting out the base stations in this case, and then you had a deployment phase. The installation phase normally would take 20 to 30 years. A lot of money, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of work. It's the next 20, 30 years, which is the deployment phase that I believe and Ericsson believes that we're in today. This is the deployment phase of mobile broadband, the deployment phase of new applications, new devices, different ways of being connected, and a better, more productive society. That's about talking about mobile broadband in a general telecom operator sense. But I would say since I've joined Ericsson, there has not been a week that has gone by where we have not had an inbound request from different industry verticals, be it truck companies, motor companies, utility companies, engineering companies, media companies. All these companies have mobility as their number one strategy. How do I get my goods out faster? How do I get my material out faster? Increase revenue. The other option is, how can I use my workforce more efficiently? How can I distribute it and go global more efficiently? So you're seeing that mobility is not impacting just telecoms and the consumers, but vertical industries are focusing on this as one of their primary strategy goals. They also recognize that mobility is important as it holds opportunities to reduce the carbon footprint. Getting back to what I said was 60% of these people living in the cities, we need more smart cities, we need to understand how to work better. Mobile broadband is a great opportunity to do that. So the carbon footprint and power consumption is a big issue for these folks. Now in conclusion, we see exciting opportunities in telecoms. Today we have 5 billion mobile subscriptions. We see this growing and generating greater than 7 billion in the near term. But what's more interesting in my mind is I think that we'll have 50 billion connected devices by 2020 from a variety of different devices, driven by different applications and different data needs. We already know that we're going to have close to 3.5 billion broadband devices compared to what we have today, and that's going to drive further data and further applications. So I think it's interesting to come back and see that from the days of Captain Aubert, the well-dressed man where we started from, we have seen that Ericsson has been in China for a long period of time. We have strived for technology leadership with these long-term relationships, but we also recognize that different regions have different drivers, different end-user behaviors, and certainly different users will drive the technology needs in different ways. We have to be close to the region, we have to invest in the region, and we have to know the region. With this point, we have pulled together a great two-day event with outstanding speakers, and we're going to start that off right now. We're delighted to have you all join us in these discussions. First of all, I'd like to give you some insight on China's economy and its outlook. And I can think of no better person to help guide us through this. Let me introduce Dr. Fan. He's the director of the National Economic Institute of Research and chairman of the China Reform Foundation. He's a well-known, prominent economist. We're fortunate to have him here today and to give us his insights and his vision on China's economy, and particularly how technology and innovation plays to that.